Well, hello, climate change, brother.
Hey, brother, how's it going? How you been doing?
And you, Dr. Catherine, you've been working on a lot of experiments lately, right?
I'm kicking around some ideas. We think that we are doing something about climate change, but it's really important that we further the research and the efforts going on to improve our condition.
Point 1. Is the answer for solving climate change eliminating fossil fuel-based transportation fuels? Even if we did this in the U.S., what about the rest of the world?
So now, what do you think about the idea that we need to get rid of fossil fuels and all that to combat climate change so that we're not producing as much carbon dioxide? That's something that we need to consider because of all the solutions, that's the one they seem to be.
Yeah, they seem to pick on the most, yeah.
It seems to be the most drastic change, too.
So let me put it this way, this is my opinion, and all of our research. If tomorrow everybody were to stop driving cars altogether, I mean, the whole country would just say, no more cars, I don't think that would stop climate change. I don't think that would stop global warming. The percentage of the cars in the U.S. compared to the world, plus the percentage of cars, what cars emit for all of the man-made emissions, and then all of the man-made emissions compared to all the Earth emissions, it's hardly measurable. And so what that would do is be maybe a little bit of change in the CO2 emissions worldwide. It may not have very much of an impact on climate change, but it's going to have a huge impact on our economy, right? We would all suffer for that. So I don't think that was going to make a difference.
Point 2. There is always an increasing number of forest fires every year which is blamed on climate change. Since this is inevitable, properly managing the forest is the best way to prevent fires from happening.
Here's an example, is the forest fires, okay, they're happening. They seem to be happening every summer. We got some now, right? There's some to the east of us and there's some to the west of us right now burning, okay? And for the last several years, there's been a lot of smoke in the air because of forest fires. Okay, what do some of the politicians say? They say, oh, we told you global warming was going to cause more forest fires. Global warming, we need to solve global warming. That's the issue. So let's stop emitting CO2.
The politicians kind of get into is that what we're going to do now, because there's forest fires, we're going to make sure we have more electric cars and we have solar panels. That's the way we're.
That's
their
solution.
That's their solution.
Yeah,
that's what they tell you. They're
But does that mean we don't do forestry management anymore? Is that we decide? Oh well, if
what
we
about
solve
that?
global
Yeah.
warming,
How are we going to solve the forest fire problem?
So let's not give up. Let's try to put more effort into mitigating those forest fires. If we were to clean the forests, the undergrowth, all the stuff on the ground, burn some of that away, controlled burns, all these kind of things are forest management that help prevent forest fires, and we've been doing for decades. Okay, why are we doing less of that now or something? We should be doing more of that now. That's to help mitigate some of these problems.
Even if you do it within a half a mile or like a mile or two from the roads, that's all you need to do, because most of the forest fires are man-made. A lot of them are, and they're near roads. So if you clear out those areas just around those roads, that should really help out the situation. And the thing too is that if you clear out the brush and everything, that solves a lot of problems at once, and you can get like a triple fold, savings to prevent all the carbon and all the ash and all the carbon dioxide coming out from burning, the brush. You can take that brush or the wood and that's left over, and you can make biofuels out of it, or like hydrogen. And at the same time, you can sequester the carbon so you can make clean fuel while you're doing that.
Point 3. Proper land management involves having the appropriate water use efficiency when irrigating your crops.
Well, there's another category too, right? The land degradation.
The land degradation, yeah.
That's something. That's another mitigating, subject that I think we should talk about too, right? I mean, more people should talk about.
But the water supply has a lot to do with that too. But also, when you're using water, say for example, when you're watering for your crops for agriculture in the desert or in different areas, you want to have good water use efficiency. And what that really means is that you need to do good irrigation management. That's something I did for my PhD degree was irrigation management. And so to effectively do that, you have to measure the soil moisture periodically. And when you measure it, you have a threshold level. And once you go below that threshold level, then you water the plants. And you do it when they need it. You just don't do it periodically. Right. So it depends on the weather. It depends on a lot of factors.
But you talked about flood irrigation versus, like maybe drip irrigation, things like that could save a lot of water.
Point 4. In order to prevent land degradation, the proper maintenance of water supply for everyday living needs to take place.
Another thing that can save a lot of water is water usage is trying to. I mean, we have a pretty good infrastructure in the USA, but a lot of countries don't. I mean, all around the world, in South America, East Asia, the Middle East, there is a huge water problem where there are a lot of water infrastructure just leaks everywhere underground, and it doesn't get to the houses very much. I mean, I lived in the Middle East, and then sometimes they just have to turn the water off because there's not enough water to deliver to the houses, and so you don't get any water because a lot of it's just being seeped in the ground. And then you have a problem with contamination from the sewage systems as well, because that is dilapidated as well. So you get a double problem there. So yeah, Jordan had a huge problem where they were losing millions of gallons of water a day. So it was they had a project also sponsored by the UN was helping, and the US was helping to replace all the water pipe infrastructure underground.
Point 5. Prevention of erosion from flooding is done by constructing basins and growing plants for water retention and collection.
I think just as big of a problem is flooding and erosion. So like when there is rains, we need to know what to do with that water, how to catch it, how to distribute it to plants, planting vegetation in the right area so it retains that water. What to do during floods and flooding, that's probably just as important as like the water supply,
Yeah, that brings up another point for land management and to prevent land degradation is in Arizona they've started I think it's more of a law and a statute for construction and other things, but you have to build basin and water catchments in most of your areas now under new construction, and plant plants that can handle, like I was talking about my plants I'm planting, that are desert plants that don't need a lot of water, but they need some water, but you don't have to water them if you have these catchments that during like you're saying, there's heavy rains sometimes, but then we get periods of drought. And so if they have enough catchment and water basins where they could preserve the water instead of just running into the sewage system or something, then these plants can live without any irrigation at all. And so the more and more you have this vegetation out there, the better it is for global warming, number one. And number two, it's better for water management. And so if you look around, you'll see a lot of that now on the sides of the roads or the highways and the medians, constructions of new complexes, businesses. They have these catchments now. And I think it's something they have to do when they're landscaping. The climate change advocates should think about not just stopping more CO2 emissions, but stopping to help mitigate some of the problems that are ensuing. But until next time, we'll wish everybody some good luck and good measures in mitigating climate change.
Exactly. Good point there, boy. I like that. Yeah.
Thank you.